Hey, everybody. We hope you're having a great summit so far. We're the Canopy Customer Training Team. I'm Taryn,
And I'm Emily.
and we are so excited to talk to you about some of our favorite Canopy features today, including Canopy Insights.
As more and more firms are moving from paper to digital, it's making it easier to automate processes. One of these trends is access to real time data. Why is this so important? There are plenty of benefits to seeing your firm's data in real time: better customer service and relationships with your clients, the ability to fine tune firm operations, and most importantly, more profitability for you. There's no longer a need to wait for a month end report for your firm or your clients. With Insights, you have real time access to your data and the flexibility to customize reports to tell you exactly what you need to know to be aware of how your firm is doing now, including what's working and what needs to be changed to make the most strategic impact. That's what Insights is really all about: giving you that access to real time data so that you can make real time decisions. And showing you how to do that is the journey we're going to take together today. With Canopy Insights, you have the ability to visualize your data so that you can see trends and patterns within your firm's operations. You can ask questions about your data with AI to get suggestions. Our tool's just an assistant, so it's not going to do the work for you. Instead, it's going to help you understand the different angles you can attack your question from and make the work a heck of a lot easier. You can also create individual reports or shareable dashboards, or both. This enables all the key players to understand exactly what they need to know to make the best decisions. We know that insights may seem overwhelming at first, but today we're going to show you how to start with stating the problem you're trying to solve, how to create a chart to observe the problem and get insight into the causes, and finally, how to take action on those insights. Now, let's just pause there for a second, because you might be thinking, hey, wait a minute. Aren't things like analytics and data and insights all basically the same thing? Understanding the difference is the first step on our journey to understanding insights. It's kind of like ice cream and froyo. They might look the same from a distance, but you're going to know the difference when you bite into your cone. We like to think of it this way: data is simply a collection of facts. So, something like time and billing data is just a collection of things that are happening. It's like a big tub of Lego bricks. It's disorganized, but it has the potential to be something great. Analytics is the process of organizing and examining that data. Think of it like taking that bucket of bricks and dumping them all over the floor. Now you can start organizing the bricks and making sense of how many reds, how many blues, and how many greens you have. Then there's insights. Insights is discovering the patterns in your data, noticing the balances or inequalities that start to stand out. It's taking those organized piles of colorful bricks and turning them into pirate ships or space shuttles or castles. You might not look at a bucket of jumbled up Lego bricks and immediately see the potential for extraordinary creations, but every single brick is an important building block for your end result. In just the same way, your unorganized data has huge potential to reveal patterns and inspire action if you know how to look at it. So, how can we discover those patterns? And what do we even do with them once we find them? Luckily, that's what we're here to learn today.
With that in mind, let's head into Canopy and look at how we'll navigate to Insights. In Canopy, click on Insights on the global navigation bar on the left. You'll land in the Insights workspace. Before we go any further, let's talk about some terms that are unique to Insights, but that you likely already intuitively know what they mean. Answers are reports or visualizations, graphs, or tables. They're called an answer because we're coming to insights to understand the answer to a question we might have about our data. Live boards, on the other hand, are dashboards or a collection of your answers on a single canvas. Think of it like a digital bulletin board. It's as simple as that.
It's best practice to build out some answers first. So let's start there. Remember, answers are visualizations of your data. But let's break that down a little bit further. A visualization is a chart or a graph. These include bar charts, line graphs, donut charts, scatter plots, histograms. The list goes on. Don't worry, we'll take a closer look at visualizations later. Answers are made up of values, and values come from a data source. Data sources in Canopy include clients, workflow, time, and billing. Each data source, for example, clients, contains different values that you can start with to find your data. Measures are measurable numbers, things you can do math with, like invoice totals, team member pay rates, or number of tasks completed. Measures show as green in Insights. Attributes are characteristics or traits related to your data. Think of task assignee or client name. Attributes can be numbers, but they're not numbers that you're doing math with, like phone numbers or social security numbers. Attributes show as blue in Insights. In addition to measures and attributes, you can also use dates. Insights has a wide variety of them you can choose from to pull into an answer, like task due date or time entry start date. Dates are purple in Insights.
Now, all you have to do to start creating an answer is to navigate to Create Answers. And once you're there, we can choose our data source in the top left. In this case, I'm going to choose Workflow. Lastly, we can pick a measure, attribute, or date from our data source. Let's start simple with one measure, like client count. We can choose it from the list, or simply type it in the answer bar up at the top. Once we've done that, we can hit go, and just like that, we have an answer. A small, simple answer with only one value, just like this one, can become a key performance indicator, or KPI. KPIs can help you understand bite-sized pieces of information at a glance.
Another example of a KPI would be something like monthly time entry hours or monthly billable hours. These reports give you a lot of information in a small package and can help you understand your firm's performance easily without dedicating time to digging into a larger, more complex answer.
Alrighty, let's go back to client count for a minute. Knowing your client count might be kind of interesting, but what about adding another value? This time, let's add task status. Once our answer has two values, we're going to have a visualization to show our client counts across our varying task statuses. This will let us quickly see how many of our clients have work pending and what status that work is currently in. While this answer was quick and easy to build, remember that it's also possible to use a combination of any number of values when creating an answer. For an example, instead of one measure and one attribute, you could use one measure and two attributes, or three, or four. Once you start building your own answers, you'll find that there are countless combinations of values that you can use. Don't be afraid to get creative. The limit does not exist. Now, a moment ago, we learned that data sources include clients, workflow, time, and billing, and that each data source contains different values to start finding data. To sum it up, data sources are the backbone of Insights. It's where the data is being pulled from to create your answers. Without a backbone, you would fall apart. And without a data source, your answer does too. Understanding your data source is key. Data sources contain a wide variety of values that can be pulled into an answer. Think of those values like the Lego bricks we talked about before. The data source is the bucket that they live in, and you need to know which bucket to reach into to find the pieces you want to build your spaceship or your answer.
Here's a best practice for you. Don't be afraid to experiment with data sources. It can be confusing. Say you want to see time entries tied to tasks. Now, it may be tempting to pull in workflow data, but really what you're looking for is within the time data source. You might have noticed that we used the workflow data source when creating our original client count answer. While your instinct might be to use the client data source for this, that may not always be the right fit. So experimentation is key. Using the workflow data source allowed us to take our answer a step further and pull in information about task status, which we wouldn't have been able to do in the client data source. Remember, you should think about all of the data you want to pull into your answer, and then you can find the data source that works best for the particular question you're trying to answer. While we're talking about data sources, let's take a minute to make sure our data itself is primed to give us the best results possible. A story is only as powerful as its words, and the story you're trying to tell with your answers is only as strong as your data. Effective data hygiene helps organizations like yours make better decisions, improve operational efficiency, and maintain the integrity of their information systems. So, how do we keep our data clean and consistent? We actually have some best practices that we would recommend to help maintain your firm's data hygiene in Canopy. You'll want to ensure that all of your team members have a salary or an hourly rate input in their profile settings. Beyond setting up your firm's standard service items, you can also set up non-traditional service items to track things you want to be able to report on that aren't services you provide to clients. Things like admin time, breaks, lunches, and any type of leave you'd like to track, like holiday leave, sick leave, and vacation leave. Make sure that your users always associate time entries with service items, tasks, and subtasks to be able to allocate billable revenue. You'll also want to make sure to always track budgeted hours, logged hours, and assignees at either the task level or subtask level, but never both. This ensures team members only log time against their specified budget and ensures consistent tracking practices. We recommend users track these at the subtask level to get the best granularity in your data. And don't forget, you can use custom fields on the client record to store data that's unique to the client, such as location or services provided. Now that our data is ready, and we know how to choose a data source and how to pull in the measures and attributes we want to learn more about, how do we turn our answer into something actionable? Let's dig into visualizations. Remember, a visualization is just the chart used to show your answer's data. If there's something strange and it doesn't look good, who are you going to call? No, it's not the Ghostbusters. It's the Change Visualizations pane. While Insights will choose a default visualization for your answers, it may not be the chart you're looking for, and not in the Jedi mind trick way. That's totally fine, because you can change visualizations and even configure them to better meet your needs, which actually does kind of feel like a Jedi mind trick.
Alrighty, let's head back into Insights and look at our client count by task status answer one more time. Insights gave us a column chart visualization for this answer, which totally works, but maybe it's not a perfect fit. Like when someone tries to force your foot into your stepsister's glass slipper. Let's fix that without cutting any toes off. Let's click the Change Visualization button in the top right corner. Bam! Look at all of those chart options. I'm sure you can already see just how flexible Insights is and just how much customization you can do. Let's change our chart from a column chart to a donut chart. Donuts. Doesn't that look tasty? Great. This change means we can quickly hover over each status in the chart and see exactly how many clients have tasks in that status. Remember when we talked about measures, attributes, and dates? Great news! There's another piece we can add to the puzzle if we need to get more specific with our data. Keywords. Maybe we want our answer to show us client count by task status, but only for tasks due this month. With keywords, that's as easy as pie. Pie. Wait, what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, keywords. Keywords are just words that simplify your search experience and insights. Things like hourly, last year, or average. In this case, we can add the keyword this month to the attribute task due date, and our answer will update to narrow down the scope of data, only showing us what's most relevant so we can know what our practice is doing and easily follow up where we need to. All right, we've created a KPI, and then we made a chart using an attribute and a measure, and we even threw in a keyword. We know what a visualization is and how to configure it. But what else can we do? How can we make our live data work for us to give us even more actionable information?
You're an expert on attributes, measures, and dates now, but did you know that Insights also lets you take it a step further with custom formulas? Let's break down what that means. A formula lets you perform an action, for example, a calculation, based on the data in your answer. While there may be a lot of information in your raw data, a formula can help create new searchable criteria that didn't previously exist, letting you take your answers and the improvements you make within your practice thanks to those answers even further.
For example, maybe we want to learn more about how much of our time is billable to clients. We can create an answer to look at each of our employees' time entries for the last year, which is a great start. First, we'll ensure that we're using the time data source. Next, we'll pull in 3 different values: the measure time entry hours, the attribute time entry user date, the attribute time entry start date last year, and hit go. Don't forget, even though the system chooses a visualization for us, we can configure that visualization to meet our needs. In this case, let's make this a stacked column chart using the Change Visualization tab to the right. Then we can switch to the Edit Configuration tab to quickly make time entry username the x-axis and time entry hours the y-axis. That looks great. It'll be easy to read at a glance, and we'll be able to slice our chart with color once we add our formula. Now, we just need to have Insights do a little bit of calculating to figure out what time is billable or not, so that we can see that data in our visualization. Let's create a formula to do that. First, click plus add on the top left and choose formula. Next, we're going to name our formula. You'll want to pick something that makes sense for the data you're calculating. In this case, we'll call our formula billable hours status, since we're looking for a status update of what time is billable or not. Next, we can create our formula. But before we do, here's another great best practice. If you're not sure where to start, you can use the cheat sheet on the right side of the formula pane to see all of the bits and pieces you can use in a formula in Insights. Insights will break them down into categories and even show you what each piece might look like in a formula. Great news! If you're an Excel guru, this is all going to look familiar. Now, for this answer, we want it to show us a status of billable if a time entry was billable. Otherwise, it should show us a status of not billable. Let's use some if-then logic to do this. If time entry is billable equals true, then billable. Else, not billable. Once we save our formula, we can go back into the Edit Chart Configuration tab and use it to slice our column chart with color by dragging it into the relevant section and clicking Apply to update the visualization. Now we can see, at a glance, just how much of each user's time is billable or not. How awesome is that? Now it will be easy for us to follow up with our employees to make sure they know which tasks should be marked as billable, or even for us to reevaluate what services our firm is offering to our clients. Phew! So far, we have seen and learned a ton. We've been able to pull in all sorts of data from our Canopy account to create KPIs and answers to really understand what's going on in our firm. But what if we want to report on something that's not within our Canopy account? Are we limited in our reporting by the specific fields and data pieces that Canopy tracks? The answer is no.
By using parameters, we can tell the system exactly what we want it to know and make our answers all the richer for it. Let's put parameters to work. Say your firm operates on a standard 8-hour day. Your team members log their hours as they do their various tasks, and in a perfect world, their 8-hour workday would consist of 8 hours worth of tracked time. Now, you may be thinking, but Emily, there's nowhere in Canopy to indicate that we as a firm work for 8 hours a day. As far as Canopy knows, we could all be working 2 hours and then calling it a day. This, my friend, is where parameters come in. A parameter is a placeholder, such as a number, date, or text string that can replace a value. Parameters simply allow you to compare your firm's data to this placeholder.
Awesome. Let's create a new answer and add a parameter to define that our team works an 8-hour workday. We'll make sure we're using the time data source for this answer. Remember when we hit plus add to create a formula? We'll go to the same place to add in a parameter, just choosing parameter instead of formula. Our parameter is going to need a name. In this case, we'll call it daily hours. Data settings are where we'll indicate what our parameter is representing. In this case, because we want to represent an 8-hour workday, and 8 is a whole number, we'll choose integer. We do have other options here that we aren't using today, but if you're a numbers ace, you may already recognize them. Decimal is simply a number that includes decimals. String is a text string, like a word or a phrase. Boolean is a true or false. And date, well, I think we all know that one. Now that we've selected integer, we'll input our whole number, 8, and then hit save. Awesome, we just created our parameter. But what do we actually do with it? Well, we'll need to have something to compare it to. So let's pull in the other measures and attributes that we want to use to understand how many hours our team members are actually tracking in Canopy. We'll use time entry username, time entry hours, time entry start date daily, and time entry start date last month. Perfect. We told the system which measures and attributes we want to see. And we also defined our 8-hour workday through a parameter. We're not quite done yet, though. Right now, our measures and attributes and our parameter aren't actually talking to each other. They just coexist like two people on a bad first date. How do we break the ice and get our lovebirds talking to each other? Hint: it's something we just learned about a few minutes ago. Something that can take multiple figures and use them to do some quick math for us. Did you guess that we need a formula? You did? You go, Glen Coco. All right, let's build our formula. This time, we'll use the name daily variance. This formula is pretty simple. We want to take our total time entry hours and subtract the daily hours parameter. So our formula will be sum time entry hours minus daily hours. Now that we have our formula, let's configure our chart so that it's telling a more cohesive story. First, we're going to change our visualization to a pivot table. On the Configure Visualization tab, we can make any adjustments that we need. In this case, we want our rows to show the daily time entry start date. We want our values to show both total time entry hours and daily variance. And we want our columns to show the time entry username. Once we have that set up, we can click Apply to update the visualization. We can even take it a step further to add some conditional formatting to the daily variance column to make this chart even easier to understand at a glance. All we need to do is click the right arrow next to daily variance and scroll down to the conditional formatting section to set up the formatting we want to see. If someone worked less than the desired hours, we want their variance to show as red. So we can add a rule where less than 0 equals red. If someone worked at least the desired hours, we want their variance to show as green. So we can add a second rule where greater than or equal to 0 equals green. Wow! We now have a multifaceted answer with a customized visualization telling us exactly what we needed in a way that's easy to read and, more importantly, to act on. We can quickly tell if employees are meeting hourly guidelines for tracked work, as well as getting a better idea of how efficient the firm is with the time spent overall. We can also use this answer to identify inefficiencies or issues with our processes and workflows, or even employee skills. This is going to be a valuable tool for planning performance reviews, setting benchmarks, and improving overall effectiveness at our firm to make sure we're meeting or exceeding expectations. While we came together with the goal of learning about all of the pieces that can make up an answer and how to start creating our own custom answers using our firm's live data, the real prize was the friends we made along the way and the beautiful answers we were able to create together.
Remember, like 20 minutes ago, before Taryn was waxing poetic about the true meaning of friendship, when we said Insights has something called live boards? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Let's look at the big picture. While an answer is a single report or visualization, live boards are dashboards, a collection of answers on a single canvas, almost like that Pinterest board you spent hours curating when you wanted to redecorate your kitchen. Live boards are a place where you can pin charts, tables, and KPIs to get real-time, relevant data about your firm all in one place. This is where the real magic happens. Now, not only can you see your data, but you can do something with it.
As we were creating our answers today, we were also pinning them to a live board. Let's take a look at that live board now. I'm going to navigate to my Live Boards tab up at the top of the Insights workspace. And from here, I'm able to see all of the live boards currently in my account. If I'd like to create a new live board, I could do so by hitting Create Live Board and giving it a name. But we're going to focus on the live board that we created together today. I'm going to click into the Team Member Utilization Live Board. And once I do that, I'll be able to see that all of the answers and KPIs we created are here waiting for us. Everything is pulled together into one beautiful big picture, letting me review all of my answers in one place whenever I need to. Once we have a live board put together and we're reviewing our data, we can start to get more strategic by drilling down. Think of drilling down as a way to dig deeper into the specifics of the data in your answers. Is there an outlier in your data? You don't have to wonder about it. You can drill down and find out what's causing it. Just right-click and choose Drill Down. Then decide what details you want to see. You can keep going down the rabbit hole just like Alice until you find what you're looking for. And I don't mean a white rabbit. I mean the information you need to resolve issues and ensure that your firm is set up for success. For example, we can see here in our billable hours status by team member answer that Mallory has far more non-billable hours than her coworkers, or than we expected. As Alice would say, how very curious. We can drill down by service item name to better understand what work she's doing that isn't billable. Now that we can see just how many of those non-billable hours are not associated with a service item, let's drill down further by task name to get more information. Now we're getting a more detailed picture. A lot of Mallory's time isn't tied to service items or tasks. Curiouser and curiouser. Without drilling down, we never would have known any of this. We wouldn't have even known to look into Mallory's work at all. Now we can take this information and follow up with Mallory to make sure she's aware of how we want her to track her time, to make sure all of the time is appropriately categorized, and that clients are being billed correctly. And don't worry, your original answer is unchanged, no matter how far down the rabbit hole you go. You can get back to the beginning whenever you're ready using the undo button. Now, that was great, but even better than being able to review your data is being able to be notified about it. No more checking your data obsessively to monitor for minute changes or chasing down your team to remind them to review reports. Let Insights do it for you. We all know time is money. Who doesn't want more of both? Threshold alerts on KPIs, or key performance indicators, can send you an email if your billed revenue drops below a certain amount, or if your year-to-date billable revenue increases by a certain percentage. Just choose the KPI you want Insights to keep an eye on for you, click the bell icon, and set up the alert conditions that work for you. Keeping a finger on the pulse of your practice has never been easier. You can also set up threshold alerts to notify other users, so you're not the only one benefiting from, or following up on, those handy-dandy emails when something changes. Maybe you spent all of your valuable time curating the perfect live board. What if you want to make sure it's actually getting used regularly? That's where live board schedules come in. With live board schedules, you can choose who should be reviewing a live board and when, and Insights will do the rest. For example, do you need your managers to review the team member utilization live board every Monday to make sure your firm is on track? All you have to do is click the three-dot menu button in the top right corner of the live board and choose Schedule. Pick the recipients and customize the frequency. Then save the schedule, and Insights will take it from there. Insights is super flexible, allowing you to customize different features to meet your firm's specific needs. And live board schedules are no different.
All right. Your data is clean and consistent. You're an expert on answers and live boards. You've set up alerts and even scheduled notifications to keep yourself and your team in the loop. You're ready to get boots on the ground and start running with your firm's live data. Where do you go from here? This might be where a lesser accountant would say the end and close the book on Insights. But really, this is only the beginning. Insights is a powerful tool, but it's only as powerful as the person wielding it. In the wise words of Miss Frizzle, now is the time to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. Because jumping in and doing is the best way to hone your skills in Insights. Don't be afraid to get your feet wet or to just do a cannonball right off the diving board into the deep end. Every time you create an answer, it's an opportunity to learn and a chance to find ways to make your firm better, more efficient, and more profitable. And that's what using Canopy Insights to unlock your real-time data is all about.